So this is my fourth Etsy tutorial on this channel. It's been a while since I've done one on the computer like this, so it's kind of a throwback, a little bit excited here, but I don't need a camera to convey all this information to you. I'd rather you see the actual computer so you can follow along with what I'm saying. Now, in the past few videos, right, I was kind of introducing you to Etsy. I was getting introduced to Etsy dropshipping myself with print-on-demand products, and I really didn't have an expertise in it yet. I was kind of learning the ropes, creating designs, and I didn't have a full grasp of what to actually tell you to do yet because I hadn't scaled a store up personally myself. Well, now I definitely have. We're approaching 1,000 designs on my store now currently, and I've definitely seen an uptick in a lot of the sales on my store. We're going to cover all that in this video tutorial here, and I'm going to show you how you can create an Etsy print-on-demand dropshipping store literally 100% automated. In this tutorial, I'm literally going to walk you through the two best ways that you can find hot in-demand designs that are currently selling well on the Etsy platform, because just like dropshipping on any platform, you want to go after things that are already doing well. I'm going to show you how you can find those hot designs super quickly from other stores that are doing very, very well on the platform. Then what we're going to do is we're going to replicate those designs and we're going to put them into a software called Printful, which literally does 100% of the work for you after you upload the design, right? So once you get an order, not only are they connected into the back end of your Etsy store, but once you get an order, they will print the design on whatever it is. In this case, it might be a t-shirt, it could be a mug, it could be any number of things, right? There's, as you can see here down on the left, you have shirts, you have hoodies, you have a number of things, right? And then they're also going to pack it up and ship it to the customer and input the tracking number into your Etsy order for you. So you don't have to do anything. All you need to do in this business is find hot selling designs, and we will cover the two best ways to do that in this video, okay? Then you need to replicate those designs, although you don't need to do that if you don't want to. I'm gonna teach you how to actually outsource this super cheap and super profitably, which is exactly what I do now currently, and how I've been able to scale this up super quickly, and I'm really excited about it, all right? So there's a number of different things here that we're gonna cover, but the first thing that you need to do is you need to find a hot selling design, right? So here we are on the homepage, and there are a number of ways to find hot selling designs. I've covered a number of other ways in those other 3 tutorials. I'll make sure to drop the Etsy dropshipping playlist down at the bottom of the description if you want to watch those other tutorials after this video for some other in-depth ways of how you can create designs yourself, because we will not necessarily be covering that in this video. We'll be covering like the basics of the graphic design and then how to outsource it. I cover it in depth. I literally replicate designs with you in those other videos if you want to check them out. But in this video, all you need to do is you need to click around and find some stores, and you can find those hot selling stores on the homepage or any of the categories. And you're gonna see 2 different things here on these stores. So if you scroll down, you see this store, because we just literally clicked one on the homepage. This store right here has a little bit under 10,000 sales. So if you scroll down and you look at their store, you can see that it's going to tell you the sales and the admirers and all the things that they have in their store currently, right? Now, the 2 best ways to find it are to either find a store with a clickable sales button right here. As you can see, this store right here has a clickable sales button. And when you click this sales button, which is all their sales, it will take you to all of their past sales. Why is that important? Because now we can see exactly what has sold and when, and the current demand and how many people have that in their cart at the current time period. So we know that these are not just random designs on Etsy. These have sold, and they've sold recently in order, and we can just go down and replicate these designs. You obviously still need to make sure that you're not infringing on anybody's intellectual property, that you're not copying their design, word for word exactly as it is. What you do want to do is you want to kind of mimic it, put your own spin on it, but make something very, very similar. Assuming, of course, it doesn't have like a brand like Disney or a brand like Nike or a brand like Starbucks, and you're not going after anybody's intellectual property, and you're not 100% copying their design, right? It's very, very easy stuff, but this will give you a better likelihood that every design you create is going to sell because you know that it's already sold on the Etsy platform. Or you can see here, if you scroll down on this store literally has over 163,000 sales, which is wild. So they're clearly doing well, and they clearly know what they're doing. You can see that their sales button right here is not clickable, right? And a lot of the sales buttons will not be clickable, but you will be able to find plenty that are. So the best way is to find the sales buttons that are clickable and then go in and see what their last sales were and replicate designs that way, right? Again, so if we go back to their store, you can see their store right here, Sugar Maple Mercantile, and there are a number of these. You scroll down on the left, the sales button is clickable. But right here on this store, their sales button is not clickable. So what you want to do instead is you just want to scroll all the way to the bottom, and you're going to look at their reviews. And again, by the reviews, you can see what sold recently. Also, you can see what people liked, right? So you can go and replicate designs that people clearly liked. So you know that that product's good, that design's good, and you can also see what sold recently and when. So it's another great way that you can find in-demand products that have sold recently and replicate them. So if we wanted to replicate some of these designs, we would just click on them like this right here, Miss Sydney. This looks personalized. A lot of these, like this one's relatively easy to kind of redo. Maybe this one right here. So if we kind of just click on a bunch of these, this one's clearly personalized right here. That one's relatively easy to do. This one's relatively easy to do, as you can see with like the mama design. The other Etsy shop's gonna have a lot more that are easily replicatable, right? So like we could literally mimic this one, just get like a tiger face and go eye of the, relatively easy to mimic. Game day right here, hey batter. We know that these have demand and they've sold. So all you need to do is you need to figure out how to actually replicate that design now. That's the next step. Now, you can do that yourself. And like I said, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of how to actually replicate a design in here because I've already done that 3 separate times on all the other tutorials that are linked down in the description if you want to go ahead and do that. But what you could do instead is simply hire somebody super cheap from onlinejobs.ph for around $2 or $3 an hour, or even as low as $150. Although sometimes when I go after the people that are $150, they aren't as high quality as like some of the other people. The highest person I've ever hired on here is only $4 an hour. So you can find people super cheap, and you can also specifically go after like product listers for Etsy or product listers for your other dropshipping stores like Facebook Marketplace or whatever it is, or product research, or in this case, somebody with graphic design experience that still is making $2 an hour, and it's win-win, right? Because they're a graphic designer. Chances are they're better than you at graphic designing. At least in my case, they are. And I wouldn't say I'm bad, but I'm by no means like a graphic designer good at it. So I'd rather hire somebody that can do it for me relatively cheaply. And at $2 an hour, I can profitably hire them all day to create hundreds of designs and pay them hourly. And that's exactly what I've been doing. And it's also a win for them because they get to work from home, stay inside with their families, and the cost of living for a country like the Philippines is relatively low. So $2 an hour is actually a good livable wage, right? And obviously, as you build trust, as they do a good job, you can give them a raise slowly over time and they can earn more money. But this is a great way where you can hire profitably. So this is an example of the job that I literally posted relatively recently. You can see I posted this on the 25th, and I've already scaled this store up very quickly, and I've been getting a lot of sales over the past few weeks. Now, obviously, I would attribute some of that to, being in Q4 and having higher demand during the holidays right now, but by no means is that the only factor. We have a lot more designs up. Like I said, we're approaching 1,000 right now, and a lot of them have sold on the platform recently, so I know that there's a high demand and those designs have a higher likelihood to sell. And all I basically did was say, hey, I'm looking for a full-time Etsy graphic designer. This person would need to be able to create exportable PNG images using Adobe Photoshop, which is exactly how I taught it in the other tutorials. They could also have experience on like Canva or something like that. As long as they can create exportable PNG images for Adobe Photoshop or something like it, where you can then put that transparent image into Printful, it's a game changer. Another great thing about onlinejobs.ph, right? As you can see here, here's the example from one of my employees, is it tracks all their time as well. Okay, so you can see exactly how much it's a program that you install on their computer, right? They run it and they click on and off. And not only does it track all their hours, so I can simply just pay them directly in onlinejobs.ph, but I can also click in and see what the screenshot and what they were doing at that specific time, minute by minute almost, on onlinejobs.ph, so I can see if they were working and what they were doing during that time. It's a game changer, and I highly recommend it. If you want onlinejobs.ph and you want to try it completely free, I'll make sure to link that down in the description below, and Printful will also be linked in the description below as well if you want to try it. You don't need to pay for any of them. There is a free version of onlinejobs.ph, although if you do want to message and you do want to use time proof in the future, then you might want to think about upgrading. And as this loads, you can see just how many on-demand designs that we've kind of created here going forward. So this is an easy way that you can pump out hundreds or thousands of designs super fast, completely hands-off. You don't have to create any of the designs if you don't have graphic design experience, or even if you don't want to, right? You can outsource that super cheaply. You don't have to store any inventory. You don't have to do any fulfillment for these orders. The companies and your employee will do that all for you. So to recap, What you want to do is you want to first find in-demand designs, and you can do that by searching for other sellers and finding what they've sold recently on the platform, like I've showed you in this video. Then you want to create and replicate those designs and make similar ones because you know that there's demand for those on the platform, whether you do it yourself with something like Adobe Photoshop or Canva, or you hire somebody to do it for you very cheaply. Both will work. It just depends on if you'd rather spend the time or the money. And you don't really need to spend a lot of money because, like I showed you, you can hire super cheaply on somewhere like onlinejobs.ph. Then once you have that design, you want to take that design into Printful and simply upload it onto a t-shirt. It's super simple and self-explanatory, and I'm not going to walk you through that process again today because, like I said before, I did it in those previous 3 tutorials. If you have any questions, let me know. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you got any value from it whatsoever, please give it a like. I genuinely appreciate it. Until next time.